Good evening, listeners, and you're very welcome along to Across the Line here on Tipp FM with myself, Paul Carroll, in association with the Premier Credit Union in Thurles on this Friday, the 1st of May 2026. A busy show lined up for you this evening, looking ahead to what is a quieter than usual weekend of sport in Tipperary. That goes without saying. We don't have the Tipperary senior hurlers or footballers or camogie team in action, but we do have a big game for the ladies footballers on Sunday. We'll be joined by Martin Gray from the Tipp LGFA board later on in the show. Looking ahead to that, Nenagh Ormond are in a massive game on Sunday. They're in the Munster Junior Cup final. We'll talk to John Long about that later in the show. Barry Drake will give us the rundown on all things greyhound racing as always, and we'll be talking hurling with Enda Treacy in just a few moments' time, and we'll also hear from Brendan Cummins as well. So that's what's coming up on this week's show ahead of this May bank holiday weekend. So let's jump straight into the hurling talk. I said Tipperary are not playing this weekend, of course, but there is a big game to look forward to in the Munster Senior Hurling Championship. That is Clare against Limerick at 2 p.m. on Sunday. And to look ahead to that and look back on what has been a good week for the Tipperary under-20 hurlers and minor hurlers, I'm joined on the line from the Tipperary Star, Enda Treacy. Enda, you're very welcome back to the show.
Thanks a million, Paul.
Enda, before we speak about the under-20s and the minors who are both into Munster finals, we'll maybe just have a quick word on last Sunday. We're 5 days on now from Tipperary's draw with Waterford, and we just have one game in the Munster Senior Hurling Championship this weekend. That's Clare against Limerick at 2 o'clock on Sunday in Ennis. But reflecting back on the Tipp Waterford game 5 days on, how are you kind of feeling after? Is it a sense of a point gained, a point lost, or somewhere in between?
No, it's definitely a point lost. It's so much of the hurling done in the first half, Paul, and 11-point lead, like at this level, you'd be expecting to hold on to that, especially as All-Ireland champions. But again, just never showed up in the third quarter. Waterford got well on top, and look, that was the disappointing aspect. But then to get back in front there at the end and see the goal was a double sucker punch. Look, it would have been a big 2 points to get. 1 point now is really putting us up against it. So, look, it was a bad day overall, even though the performance was probably not too bad in comparison to the Cork game.
Yeah, it is a disappointing one, no doubt, but still 2 games to go against Clare on Saturday, May 16th, and against Limerick then the following Sunday. But this weekend we have Clare against Limerick taking each other on. Kind of all eyes will be on that, the only game in the Munster Championship. How do you kind of see this one playing out? Obviously Limerick now without Aaron Gillane and without Cian Lynch, 2 major losses to them, and Clare, both sides have just named their teams earlier today. But from a Tipperary point of view, what should we want to happen? I've been asked this a few times during the week, and I still can't really make heads or tails of what Tipperary people should want to happen in this game, because there's still a lot of hurling to play, and we've to play both of these teams in the remaining 2 games.
Yeah, look, either way, Paul, it's not critical, but look, you'd be imagining that we would want that 3-team mini league that we had last year in the Munster Championship with Clare and Waterford to come through again. It's going to be a lot trickier this time around, obviously, with, as you mentioned there, Limerick missing two of their talismen in Cian Lynch and Aaron Gillane, and with the match being in Ennis, like we know how difficult it is to go to Ennis and get a result. And Limerick have had their troubles there in the round robin over the years, and without those 2 players, it's going to be a lot trickier. But we'd be hoping maybe that Limerick get the win there, and we get into that 3-team mini league with Clare and Waterford. Obviously we have Clare in round 3, and if we get a win there, we're back in the mix. So it's an interesting one, Paul. We're kind of relying on other results now, which is not ideal. So look, we just have to take care of business in the last 2 games. If we win the last 2 games, we're through. So I think that's the way you have to look at it.
Yeah, and I'd say that's how Tipperary will be looking to that one in a couple of weeks' time. But how do you think this game will go? I saw that Clare team are unchanged from their first round game, and they will have David McInerney back in the matchday 26. So that's a big boost back for Clare. And for Limerick, they have 2 changes I saw earlier. Darragh Donovan is in for Cian Lynch, and I'm trying to think of the other change off the top of my head. I think it's is it David Reedy is in the forwards, or maybe he's on the bench for one switch there. But how do you think that game?
Morrissey, is it?
Yeah, Tom Morrissey. Yeah, that's the one. How do you think it'll play out?
Yeah, I think Clare will probably win it. I think, look, they're never going to get a better chance with look, we know the quality that Limerick have throughout the team, and look, they're hardly putting in bad replacements in Tom Morrissey and Darragh O'Donovan, but like Keane Lynch and Aaron Glenn, they give something to that Limerick team that is hard to replace. And with Clare at home, I think Clare might just edge it, but it's going to be a great match, as Clare and Limerick matches have been over the last few years, but probably think Clare might edge it a little, just by a couple of points. But look, it's hard to look at these matches now and Tipp aren't in the mix at the weekend. So I just don't know what way we wanted to go, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
But we'll know after it, I think. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll see how it all plays out. So that's 2:00 on Sunday in Ennis. I'm sure a lot of people will be glued to that one. But while it was a disappointing day maybe on Sunday coming away from Walsh Park after the nature of that draw against Waterford, it's been a pretty good week for the Tipperary under-20 and minor hurlers. The under-20s had a massive win over Limerick in the Gaelic Grounds, 420 to 2-8 on Wednesday evening. That means, because Cork bet Clare by 4 points down in Páirc Uí Chaoimh at the same time on Wednesday evening, that Tipp are now directly through to a Munster final, a fourth final in 5 years and a third final in a row for the Tipperary under-20 hurlers. And given the nature of their defeat against Clare the previous week, that's a massive result and a massive boost of confidence for that side.
Yeah, it's definitely a good result, Paul. I mean, look, there was a bit of element of luck in the way it's fallen, that Limerick were out of the equation coming into the last game. They rested a lot of their senior panels, so two Fitzgeralds, Matthew and Finton, Darragh Langan, Hugh Flanagan, all were held back for the senior game. So it gave Tipp a good boost. And look, they had to get the business done all the same, and in fairness, they went about their business very well, got the points that they needed, and look, the Cork game went in their favour as well. So look, a lot had to go right for Tipp to get directly into the Munster final, but look, they did their part, and it was a good result. Look, outside of the last 4 or 5 minutes in the Clare game, it's been a pretty consistent round robin campaign from Brendan Cummins' team, you know. So look, they're doing something very right there when they're getting to 3 Munster finals in a row now, and the under-20 grade has been a very good one for us the last few years, and it's built a lot of momentum for us going to the senior grade. Yeah,
and it's actually kind of massive as well to get that direct route to the final, because that means Tipp are off next week now, and the final is the following Wednesday, May 13th. So you're looking at a situation where Cork and Clare played each other last Wednesday just gone. They're going to be playing each other the following Wednesday, and then the following Wednesday after that they'll have the Munster final, whoever comes through that, against Tipperary. So that's a big advantage to Tipperary now to just get that week's rest.
It is, yeah. And look, the record shows it, Paul, since 2021 when the format came in for the top three, and the finalists, whoever got to the final directly, has won the final every year since that's come in. So it obviously is a big advantage, and that's an advantage Tipp are going to have now, which is great. They can go down to Cork now next week and have a look at what they'll be facing in the final. So it all bodes well.
Yeah, and that final will be played just 3 days before Tipperary play Clare in the Munster Championship. So the likes of Stephen Tobin, Oisin O'Donoghue, will they feature? All will be played out in the next couple of weeks there. But certainly a good week for the under-20s and a good week for the minors. Last night they beat Limerick in the Gaelic Grounds in a game that was definitely much different conditions than the night before for the under-20s. It was a very wet evening in Limerick last night, but the under-17s, the minors, come out with a 213 to 16 point victory without two of their three usual starting full forward line of Zach O'Keefe and Chris Dunn, and a missed penalty in there as well for Tipperary. So a brilliant result, and it's 3 wins from 3 for the minors, and they're back into a Munster final. So again, going in the right direction at underage.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Since James Woodlock has been in, it's either been a feast or a famine, and he's kind of rotated every year. It's been a down year versus a good year, and luckily enough we're in a good year now again, with a Munster final nailed down after 3 games, which is brilliant to see, and another crop of talented players on show. Look, considering the players that we're missing and the conditions, it's a different type of game that the minors have dug out there, which is great to see at that age. When you're in those conditions, you just really have to put the shoulder to the wheel and dig out the result, and that's a pretty good Limerick team as well. They've been playing well in their few games that they've played, so no mean feat to go to the Gaelic Grounds and get a win. So it's brilliant. The underage is continuing to flourish in Tipp, which is a big thing. And look, if the worst comes to pass in the senior over the next few weeks, look, we've been lucky with the underage the last few years. That's really taken the edge off. So it's brilliant and long may it continue.
Yeah, and the minors, the under-20s now have beaten Limerick in the Gaelic grounds, and hopefully the seniors can do that in a matter of 3 or 4 weeks' time. That would be very much welcome for the Tipp senior hurlers for that final round robin game in a few weeks' time. But brilliant results all there for the minor team, and the minors are still back in action next week against Waterford in their final round robin game. So the choice is up to them whether to rest players and things like that for that game. So it's going to mean it's a very busy week in a couple of weeks' time. We've the under-20 final on May 13th. We've the minor final on May 15th. That's a Friday night. And then the following day is the 16th, where you have a situation where Tipper playing Clare in the Senior Hurling Championship. And we also have the Munster Senior Camogie final that weekend as well. So that's certainly going to be a busy couple of days there in the Premier County. But a good couple of days have just gone by for the Tipp 20s and the Tipp minors. And as we said, we'll be all keeping an eye on what happens in Ennis on Sunday afternoon in the Munster Senior Hurling Championship. But Enda Treacy, thanks for joining us on the show, and enjoy the games over the weekend.
Thanks, Paul.
Now, we're not going to jump away from hurling just yet, because as we mentioned there on Wednesday evening, Tipperary with that 420 to 2-8 victory over Limerick in the Munster Under-20 Hurling Championship to secure a place in the Munster final. After the game, I caught up with Tipperary manager Brendan Cummins alongside John O'Shea and Shane Brophy in the TUS Gaelic ground. So here is the post-match interview with Tipperary Under-20 manager Brendan Cummins.
Yeah, I suppose I could say that. Well, fell in our favour maybe, but we made it happen.
Yeah.
And that was the important thing tonight. And while there was a lot of doom and gloom after the Clare game, we knew with the bunch of men that we had, the opportunity might be here if Cork could win below in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. And in fairness to the lads, whatever about the scoreboard, to me, it didn't really matter. It was the way we played and the way we used the ball and the way we learned from the last day. And they worked the ball through the lines. Nobody hit the ball away. There was a good maturity to the way that we played our hurling tonight. And more than anything else, for me, that was what impressed me the most. The scoreboard always looks after itself in situations like that. And we also, I suppose, have to factor in that Limerick were missing their seniors. We saw it last week without Usheen. When you don't have your senior player and that focal point, it does make it that little bit more difficult. And in fairness to Limerick tonight, that, you know, the way it spun out for them, not having won a game and then missing the seniors as well, it's tough going.
Probably 20 minutes before half time was probably one of your probably best period maybe of the championship so far. Really things gelled out there in terms of what you want from the team.
Yeah, well, they did, but I'd say that like from minute 35 we'll say to minute 61 against Clare was the best hurling we've played all year, and we brought that into here, like, you know, and we said it to the lads that it's, I suppose, part of our role is to try to nurture and mind these men through adversity, and none of us are any good unless we get adversity and see what we're going to do next. It's another layer, I suppose. And when they're in a Tipperary dressing room in a couple of years' time and seeing our hurling and all that, and there's adversity coming and all the walls feel like they're closing in, they can lean on moments like we have now. And that's a big piece of what we try to do with the players. And to be fair to them, from every player we have, from the lads who didn't make the panel today, you saw them in the tunnel, you heard them roaring there, like everybody's all in and they want Tipperary to win.
How was the last week, Brendan, since that game? Obviously the response here was very good tonight, but how did you kind of manage that last 7 days?
No, it was fine actually, because when you're dealing with 18 to 20 year olds, things seem to shake off them very quickly. Whereas for myself and the management team, we were going, what are we going to do next? And we just went into training on Thursday night after the game, and suddenly the smiles were there, the swag was there, and we said, like, we'll dust ourselves down, these things happen. So like anything else in life, is what you're going to do next is more important. And we locked down really well for the week. Training obviously had gone really well. We learned a huge amount from the Clare game. We learned even more from the Waterford game, and obviously the Cork game. So all those learnings together came the way we used the ball tonight and affected the scoreboard positively for us then.
The scoreboard itself, a lot of lads out there very capable of scoring. David Coskin is maybe not someone you'd associate with being a high scorer, but I think he put up 2-3 there tonight, so showed a different side to his game.
Yeah, I'm delighted for Davey now, because I see him practicing above a train and getting the shots away and all that, and he is an unbelievable workhorse for us. But when he got his opportunities tonight now, I was delighted that he was able to finish off the goals the way he did. Gives him a bit of confidence. But look, the bottom line here is we're in a Munster final, which is great. Cork and Clare play next week, but we now have to rest the bodies. A few lads picked up knocks inside there now, a few lads had to come off, so we'll have a nervous couple of days to make sure we have all the bodies right for Wednesday week.
Robbie Ryan was one of them. Any kind of early indication?
No, it looks like that it's just kind of a hamstring strain on it. Diggo's the same way, Adam Ryan, Shane Cleary, like they've gone through held them back over the last couple of weeks. You know, that game against Clare was really intense, and to be fair to the group out there tonight, they kept the intensity up in the game. It would have been very easy to just drop down a level or two, and that's why bringing on Oisin, I felt, would have helped us to focus us again for all the world. And fair play to him, and a big thanks to Liam Cahill for allowing him to play tonight as well. You know, I suppose the relationship that we have is absolutely key, and thankfully it's been successful for us, and Oisin can go back with the seniors now for a while.
Will you have him for the final?
I'm not too sure what way. I haven't even spoken to Liam, like the way on that. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, we hadn't touched base, and we said we'll worry about that if we have to further down the road. And like every other way, the senior team has to win, and there's no left or right on that. I'm just delighted and proud of those men in there that we've gotten to another Munster final, and that's the absolute key. And we'll settle down, we'll get back training again, and we'll see what the world brings in a couple of weeks' time.
Was the fact that they knew that they were in the knockout stages anyway, come hell or high water tonight, was that a factor maybe in their thinking, their positive thinking tonight? They could play more relaxed?
No, I think like we would have felt, I suppose, that what way you're going to turn the hurt is the question always on the exam paper. And in fairness to the group, the leader stepped up and they said that, you know, we want to play hurling, you know, and we want to move the ball around, like, you know, and we did that like we did in the second half against Clare, and we want to be positive, and they showed that here again tonight. But I think, you know, sometimes you get a group that, as I say, they get something inside them that hurts them, and I think we saw that against Clare, and the response is what happens next, and we got it there. Now the next question is, can you do it again? And that's going to be the big one for us, because Cork and Clare meet again next week, and we've nothing won at this stage in the game. Just an extra week's rest for the bodies that we have really is what we've gotten, and we just have to be ready again now.
They're probably having a run out here for the lads. Probably this will be the likely venue for whoever it'll be. Like a nice little help there tonight in terms of getting the eye in. I think you only hit 4 or 5 wides, very efficient out there.
Yeah, it was, you know, they were really dialed in, the lads, where they moved the ball well, and scoring chances that would have been 50% chance, they moved it one more pass to make it 70-80%, you know, and that was kind of what we wanted to try to work on. And in fairness to Charlie, Ryan and Sam again around the middle of the field, Charlie gives us huge energy, huge ambition to go up the pitch, and you saw it there again tonight, you know. So yeah, look, we're fine, great to be in the final and all that, but like I know from years past, and we played Clare here last year and Cork the year before, they're going to be gunning for us once they get out of their next round, and we'll have to be ready.
And that was Brendan Cummins speaking after Wednesday night's win over Limerick in the Munster Under-20 Hurling Championship. Now, just before we take our first ad break of the night, I have a special mention to make. I got a phone call earlier in the week from none other than Tipperary legend Donny Nealon himself, and every year Donny is involved with the Newtown Dog Show, which takes place every bank holiday Monday in Newtown, and it is a brilliant occasion. Donny wanted me to make sure to mention it, so when Donny Nealon asks you to do something, you can't really say no. So Monday 1 o'clock in Barry's Field in Newtown, the Newtown Dog Show. All proceeds go to Burgess Duhara Camogie Club and our Rovers Soccer Club there as well. So it's always a brilliant day out, brilliant family day out, and particularly if you do like dogs, it's the place to be on Monday at 1 o'clock in Barry's Field in Newtown, just outside Nenagh. So that's a special mention I had to make. But now on this Friday evening, it's time for a quick ad break. We're going to be talking ladies football and rugby and much more after these. Now, you're very welcome back to part 2 of Across the Line here on Tipp FM with myself, Paul Carroll, on this Friday, the 1st of May 2026. Now, we're going to begin the second part of the show by looking ahead to Sunday's game for the Tipperary ladies footballers. They take on Kerry in the Munster Championship, just a week on from their brilliant win over Cork last Saturday evening. So to look ahead to this game on Sunday in Clonmel, I'm joined on the line by Tipp LGFA PRO Martin Gray. Martin, you're very welcome back to the show.
Thanks very much, Paul.
Yeah, great to have you on, Martin. Tipp obviously playing in Kerry in Clonmel Sportsfield on Sunday at 2 o'clock in the Munster Championship. Round 2 comes just a week after a brilliant Round 1 victory for Tipperary away to the Division 1 League champions Cork, and an 11 points to 9 win there last weekend. Just quickly reflecting back on that one, Martin, just kind of a real kind of a special day for the Tipperary ladies footballers and a brilliant victory to start the Munster Championship.
Yeah, absolutely. It was absolutely superb, and full credit to the panel of 25, 26 girls that are needed these days, or the panel of 30, I should say, that are needed these days to actually to supply an inter-county team, because every one of them from 1 to 20 who played their part, or 1 to 26 with girls with subs and things like that, gave it absolutely 100%, and it proved it and it showed it on the pitch that they actually were together, united as a group. They defended like dogs. They really, really dug it out. And at no point, I think we were 10 minutes into the first half when they took the lead, and they never relinquished that lead all the way through the end. So a very, very, very good victory. Well-deserved victory, I do think myself. Long time coming. The new impetus from the new management has made a huge difference, and the girls are really, really working hard. They've worked really hard all winter, and the fruits of their labours are starting to pay off, and we're looking forward immensely to Sunday's game in Clonmel.
Yeah, it was one of those results that really kind of lifted everyone when you saw it beating, as I said, the Division 1 league champions.
Yes,
and this Munster Championship, it's a round robin with Tipp, Cork, Kerry and Waterford. Cork, Kerry and Waterford are all Division 1 teams. Tipperary Division 2 team finished kind of middle of the table in Division 2 this year, but to be able to beat a Division 1 team at home as well, like just huge confidence I'd imagine the girls are going to take from that
absolutely win. Huge confidence. They had a really good league campaign, and I think a couple of results didn't go their way. They were unlucky not to qualify for a league semi-final. The rub of the green didn't happen a couple of times during the league, and they really performed really well in parts. And as David Power said himself, the win over Donegal, even a 1-point win, it was a massive win. Like they actually bet him out the gate, even though it was only a 1-point game, and they were Division 2 league winners. So I'm not surprised at them beating Cork. To be honest with you, much noise. We are somewhat surprised and delighted. The impetus and the direction they're going is upwards, and the trajectory is upwards. And we're really, really hoping that on Sunday that they can continue this growth, this momentum, to get them over the line on Sunday. And we are really appealing to as much support as possible to get up in Clonmel. This is a massive home game. It's a massive game. We really have to have a shout out to our sponsors like Comida, Tipperary Water, MMBS, and John Kennedy Motors, who have been behind this team all the way in the dark times and been good and bad. And to have a huge crowd here to roar on the girls on Sunday would be absolutely huge. The 16th man really made a huge difference in Cork, and you could see the lift that support gave them to drive them on for the last 10-15 minutes in particular.
Yeah, it's great stuff. And like it basically pretty much two cracks at getting to a Munster final now between this game and the final game against Waterford. Like Kerry were beaten by Waterford last weekend, so that's kind of really blown the whole championship wide open.
Completely. I think Waterford are certainly were classed as the underdogs, but that Waterford team has been working hard to get themselves where they are. They performed really well last year. Kerry are certainly misfiring in some respects, but we would not be taking them for granted. They had a kind of a misfire in their league campaign. I think losing their opening match in the Munster Championship won't have set too well with them. They will be coming to Clonmel looking for blood, and it'll be up to our girls now to curtail them. And I you know what I mean. I think the momentum is behind us. That we could. It's going to be prove a dogfight on Sunday. But the Munster Championship is blown right open. It's no longer a foregone conclusion that the likes of the Kerrys and Cork are going to play each other in the Munster final. And the results last week kind of proved that. It is blown right open. And this is the furthest we've gone in the Munster Championship. It's the first time in a very long time that we won a senior championship game, never mind having a chance of getting to a Munster final. So the stakes are huge. The momentum is very high, and the belief in the team is really, really high as well.
Yeah, and that word belief, like, is something I'd imagine that the likes of David Power kind of brings with him, just with what he's achieved. But talking to Laura Morrissey at the launch of the Munster Championship, and she spoke about they drew with Kerry last year. They got to an All-Ireland quarter-final, that there was belief in the squad that they could push on and push forward, and a result like last Sunday will certainly give them even more belief now heading into this Sunday.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's a testament to David Power and his backroom team in particular, and the group of people he's put together that has gelled this group that bit more to give them that belief. Everything from their coaching to SNC to their nutrition, all those things that are happening in the background. It's the small margins that make a huge difference when you get to this level. And there was huge momentum last year, and to get to an All-Ireland quarter-final was great. But I think they really need to prove themselves this year and actually go that step further and actually say that we are here. We are going to be challenging for an All-Ireland title in the next couple of years. and that's David Power's belief, and that's his aim as well. So yeah, we're really hoping the momentum stays going with them.
And what have you made, Martin, of the rule changes that have come in ladies football? You know, we saw it in Gaelic football for the first time last year, and now we see it in ladies football this year, and you know, the similar things regarding the 40-metre arc and how many players you have up in the other half of the field. All that has come in, but has that improved the game from your viewpoint?
Absolutely. I mean, it's made a huge difference, and I think we saw right throughout the league the difference those rules have made to the actual game. It has increased the pace of the game. It has increased the physicality of the game, which most of the girls would relish, because they felt they were curtailed from a lot of the challenging that was within the rules that they couldn't challenge. The 2-pointer, we've seen a number of them right through the league. I suppose Tipperary haven't been on the receiving point of too many of them, but we were at the other end of a few 2-pointers. But it is fantastic to see that the ability is there to do it. The 3 back, the 4 back, 3 forwards, that all those things are making a huge difference to the game. It's making it a better spectacle. It's making it a better game to come and watch. It's exciting. You know what I mean? It's bringing a level of exciting. It had gone very, very defensive and very, very dogged in the last number of years. It was very hard to watch some of the games and such as well, you know, with putting 15 girls behind the ball. So yeah, that it has made immeasurable improvements to the game. And I think myself, it's only going to get better, especially as the season goes on, and now that it's going to be introduced into the club games as well. It's going to make a big difference.
Yeah, it's great to see. And finally, Martin, you mentioned the importance of home advantage. It's on in Clonmel Sportsfield at 2:00 on Sunday against Kerry, and as you said, home advantage very, very important.
Very, very important. We're really, really appealing to the people of Tipperary to come out and give us a shout on Saturday or on Sunday. I know the Tipp Senior, the hurlers are out on Saturday night as far as I'm aware, but the Sunday at 2:00 in the Clonmel Sportsfield, we're in the heart of Tipperary, in the heart of football, and where all our sponsors are based. So we really, really, really would love a crowd to fill as much as we can in the Clonmel Sportsfield. To roll on I would say a really good group of girls. I can't say special at this stage, but I would call them special because they've been working really, really hard. And I think they deserve the support that you get from their own home county, and I really would appeal for as much as possible to turn up on Sunday for hopefully a really good game of football.
Yeah, please. At 2:00 on Sunday, and you have free road, Martin. We've no Tipp senior hurlers, no Tipp senior footballers playing this weekend, or the senior camogie team. So all eyes will be on the ladies footballers. 2:00 on Sunday at Clonmel Sportsfield against Kerry in the Munster Championship. Martin, enjoy the game, and thanks a million for talking to us.
Thanks, Paul, very much.
And we're going to switch focus now to the world of rugby, because on Sunday at 3:30 in Dooradoyle, Nenagh Ormond have a massive game. Back in a Munster Junior Cup final, they take on Cork Constitution at 3:30 in Dooradoyle on Sunday. To look ahead to that game, delighted to say I'm joined on the line by Director of Rugby at Nenagh Ormond, John Long. John, you're very welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Paul.
John, massive one now on Sunday, the Munster Junior Cup final. So much history between this competition and the club in Nenagh Ormond. It's against Cork Con at 3:30 on Sunday in Dooradoyle. But just a massive game for the club. It's your second team now in the final in the Munster Junior Cup, and it probably shows the growth of the club in the last 20 years, where 2004 was the team's last win in this competition, and that was the main team, and now it's the second team, and that shows maybe the growth over the last 2 decades.
Absolutely, yeah. We actually we had a squad meeting last night, and we invited Martin Breslan and Robbie Pohl, 2 previous Junior Cup winning captains, in to give a few words, and I suppose reiterate that the prestigious competition that the Junior Cup is, and it was the holy grail for Nenagh Ormond for a long, long time, and you know, it's easy to forget that, I guess, for younger guys when all they know is AIL and senior rugby and that status and all it brings. But as you say, like the Junior Cup is the foundation of Nenagh Ormond and Munster Rugby, and it's a huge honour for us to get there. It's been a rough season for the first 15, you know, in AIL 1A, but the club as a whole is really thriving. The under-20s team, we're in 3 finals this year. The second 15 are in the Junior Cup final, as you say, and the juvenile section of the club is just going from strength to strength.
Yeah, that's it's great to hear, because, as you said, it has been difficult for the senior team this year. But looking at this final now, like we mentioned, the history of the club associated with this competition, I think 5-time winners Nenagh Ormond. I think Cork Con, who you're playing on Sunday, have won it 20 odd times. But Nenagh's first win was like back in 1931 or something, so it very much is like a real kind of link between the history of Nenagh Ormond and the history of the Munster Junior Cup.
Absolutely, yeah, and as Martin Breslan said last night in his few words, there's guys that couldn't commit to rugby throughout the season, but once Junior Cup rugby started up, whatever time of year it was, everybody came out of the woodwork and everybody wanted to play, and everybody knew what the Junior Cup was and what it meant, and as I said earlier, it was the holy grail for Nenagh for many years, and we just wanted to reiterate that last night with the younger guys, and I think they got the message. They got the message, and they're all very excited and honoured to be part of it on Sunday.
Yeah, and Martin's son, John, I believe, is involved, is it? I saw it on the Nenagh Guardian this week, just another link between past glory and hopefully more glory on Sunday. Yeah,
so John is captain on Sunday, which is great. It's a testament of the work he's put in over the years, and it's nice. It's nice to, I suppose, click on that tradition that his dad was captain in 2000 when they won it, and hopefully John can bring it home as well.
Yeah, and coming into this game now, it's off the back of an extra time win over Kilfeacle away from home last weekend. Quick turnaround and things like that for a final, but I'd imagine huge momentum is taken from a win like that, and getting the bodies right, I'm sure, was the focus this week.
It was. There was a massive battle on the hill last Sunday, no more than we expected. We were lucky to come out winners, I guess. Went to extra time, as you say, and we just got away in the last 20 minutes. But yeah, bodies were sore and tired this week. It's been a long season. A lot of our under 20s are playing on the second 15, and they've played a huge amount of rugby this year, and it's been a good week though. They've recovered well and prepared well, and they're raring to go now for Sunday.
Yeah, and hopefully it'll be a great way to round off the year. Cork, obviously a kingpin of rugby in Munster. Their second team as well, but Cork really, and they don't really need much introduction, so I'm sure they have a strong team coming to Dorodoyle on Sunday.
They will do, yeah. I mean, clubs like that, that's where we differ, I guess. These city clubs all have seconds, thirds, fourth teams, and they're just they have that much more depth. But look, we'll put up a battle for them.
Yeah, and the Nenagh Ormond team, like a lot of lads that would have Division 1A experience and maybe first team players from a year or two ago, it's an experienced second team.
It is. We were lucky and unlucky, I guess. A lot of these guys didn't get to play as much 1A rugby throughout the year this season through injuries and so on, so that's what makes them eligible to play in the Junior Cup. If you play less than 50% of the first team games, you're eligible to play. So through injury, a lot of these guys didn't get to play, which makes them available for Sunday, which comes in handy.
Yeah, some really top players on that Nenagh Ormond team. And reflecting back on the season as a whole, John, for the senior team in Division 1A, the top tier of club rugby on this island, really, really high standard, obviously relegated from it now after going up. But how would you reflect back on the kind of whole experience in Division 1A for the club?
It's been a massive learning curve, I guess we knew it was going to be tough, but nothing prepared us for what we met. I mean, we were playing professional teams, professional players every week. It was like playing a provincial or an A team every Saturday. And as I've said, I think 100 times throughout the season, in the other divisions, if you make 5 or 6 mistakes, you get away with half of them. But at that level, if you make 5 or 6 mistakes, you get 5 or 6 tries scored against you, and that's just the reality of it. It's a pro league, and I suppose we weren't prepared enough for what it was, and it is what it is. We learned a lot. I think a lot of guys got massive experience. A lot of under 20 players got to play in Division 1A rugby. I don't think it's a massively common thing to happen, So it's been a massive learning curve, but an experience in itself, and we're honoured that we got there, and we did what we could do, and the lads showed up every week. They never gave up. They put up serious battles every week. I mean, there was never a game. There was maybe one or two games that didn't, we didn't get our best performances. But all in all, they performed every week and fought their hearts out.
Yeah, and a lot of results, you kind of look at the score and it could be Nenagh 30 odd, the other team 40 odd, like they're high scoring games. But was it hard morale wise for the players, particularly maybe the last 4 or 5 weeks where maybe relegation was already confirmed? But morale-wise for the players, it's a tough test when you're, as you say, going out, week on week against lads that are playing professional rugby with Leinster and Munster and things like that. It probably was difficult morale-wise, I'd say, for the group.
It was at times, but not as much as you think. I think the coaches did a massive job, a great job in keeping spirits up and reiterating what a fantastic few years we've had to get to where we are. I think the senior boys, the older guys, stepped up massively in just leading the way and leading the positivity and just keeping guys together. The buzz of the 20s and second 15 doing so well filtered around. It's one squad, it's one club. That's our kind of motto. And just because the first team weren't doing so well, it didn't take from what was going on around us. And everybody bought into that, and it's a testament to the coaching team and everyone around those players, and especially I suppose some of the older guys. They just kept the flag flying and leading from the front.
And to round it off, John, like a win on Sunday, what would that be to the club now to be able to reflect back maybe on 2026 in more positive light? What would a win do on Sunday?
It would be massive. It'd be huge for the town, huge for the club. And it'd be huge for them players, that squad. They deserve it. As I say, they showed up every week, never gave up. To win on Sunday would just mean everything now. And if there would be I think it would just be just deserved for that group of players.
Yeah, well, we wish you the very best of luck, John. Sunday, 3:30 in Doyle against Corkon in the Munster Junior Cup final. Very best of luck to all the players and the club in general, John. Thanks for talking to us.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks a million. Bye-bye.
And now it's time for our second ad break of the evening here on Across the Line. But stick around, we've got greyhound racing and all the rest of the weekend's sporting action to look forward to coming up after these. And you're very welcome back to the third and final part of Across the Line here on Tipp FM with myself, Paul Carroll, on this Friday, the 1st of May 2026. Now we're just going to have a quick chat about what else is happening in the world of Tipperary and the world of Tipperary sport over the coming weekend. It is a busy weekend of soccer, some big matches taking place. Saturday evening, St Michael's will look to continue the TSCL Premier League title race. They take on an already relegated Clonmel Town. That's at 7 p.m. in Cook Park. St Michael's also need to win on Tuesday night when they host Two Marlboroughs in Cook Park, 7 p.m. as well on Tuesday. If they win both of those games, that sets up a final day showdown between St Michael's and Peak Villa, and what a way to end the season that would be. And then if we were to look at what's happening in soccer on Sunday, there is a massive game for Clonmel Celtic in the FAI Junior Cup 4th round. They host Donegal side Bonaghy United in Celtic Park. 1 o'clock on Sunday is the throw-in time, kick-off time even, for that one in the FAI Junior Cup 4th round. Elsewhere on Sunday, there's a place in the Tipperary, Ricky Fogarty Tipperary Cup final, the NTNDL Tip Cup final, up for grabs on Sunday. Ballymackey host Clodagh Rangers at 11 a.m. BT Harps awaiting the winners in the final after their win during the week away to Rare Cross, a late Jamie Bergen goal. Securing them a 1-0 win. And also in the NTNDL Premier Division, Moneygall round off their season at home to Rare Cross at 11 a.m. on Sunday morning. So busy weekend of soccer around the Premier County. Elsewhere, we also have Camogie on Sunday. The Tipperary Under-23 Camogie team, they're already guaranteed a place in the All-Ireland semi-final, as are their opponents on Sunday. That's Cork in the Cork Camogie grounds on Sunday at 2 p.m. So both Tipp and Cork already through to the All-Ireland semi-final, but they will round off their championship group stage campaign with that game on Sunday. On Monday, Tipperary will be looking with keen interest on the Munster Senior Camogie semi-final. Waterford travel to Fitzgerald Stadium in Killarney to take on Kerry. So Tipperary, of course, following back-to-back wins over Cork and Limerick in the quarter-final and semi-final, they await the winners of Waterford and Kerry. That game takes place on Monday at 2 o'clock in Killarney. And elsewhere, we mentioned that game on Tuesday. Stephen Rosny, Nenagh darts player, back in action over in Germany on the PDC Pro Tour on Monday and Tuesday. We wish him the very best of luck. And we also, in the world of rugby, at 3 o'clock on Saturday, Ireland take on England in the Under-21 Women's Six Nations. And you might have heard the team news on Tipp FM earlier in the week. We have Katrina Finn from just out the road in Gary Kennedy, the parish of Portroe. She's starting at out half, and Bet Buttimer of Clonmel is on the bench for that game. So we wish them the very best of luck against England, 3 o'clock in Coventry on Saturday. So if there's anything else I've forgotten to mention, I do apologise, but those are the main things to be looking out for from what we haven't mentioned already on this week's Across the Line. But now, at this time of a Friday evening, it's time to talk dogs with Barry Drake.
Tipp FM's Greyhound News Update with Greyhound Racing Ireland. The ultimate night out for hens and stags. Enjoy racing, dinner and fun-packed packages across the nation.
All roads lead to Clonmel Greyhound Stadium tonight for the opening round of the 2026 National Produce Stakes with €20,000 to the winner. It promises to be another great competition at the Clonmel track with an entry of plenty of top-class sorts, as you would expect. The opening heat is full of pace with trap number 1 Cushy Flight Plan, who ran well in the recent Nenagh Kirby Memorial at Limerick Greyhound Stadium, trained by Michael O'Donovan. A 28-11 winner around Limerick should go well from the inside of the track. The Tipperary trainer Michael O'Donovan is also represented with trap number 4 Brother Thomas, who is another one that has impressed, of course, in its short career to date. A 28.07 winner below in the Juvenile Classic in Tralee a couple of months ago, and its recent 27.73 spin around Tralee suggests he's going to be a big player in the competition over the course of the next couple of weeks. And when you throw in the likes of trap number 6 Glengar Phantom, who was a 28.88 winner around Kilkenny in the recent Future Champion on Race competition, trained in Kappa White by Pat Buckley, it really is the perfect start to what is sure to be another, as I said, wonderful competition there. Trap number 6 Glengar Phantom, of course, was out of luck in the final of the Future Champion last week behind Carrick Becks in Kilkenny, but remains a very exciting prospect. So what a way to kickstart the competition there tonight in Clonmel. First race, the usual start time there of 7:34. Elsewhere on the card, JK Fly for Paul Hennessy, the man that was in the headlines at the Punchestown Festival during the week, of course. And this greyhound finished 4th in the recent final of the Nenagh Kirby Memorial Final at Limerick Greyhound Stadium. This one stands out here, and with a quick start expected from the middle of the track, should prove too strong. Also keep an eye on trap number 1 Vivaro Hero for Ken Bustee down in Cork. This one ran well in the Royal Hawaii at Stud on race stake around course and distance a couple of months ago. Elsewhere in the competition, looking down to race number 5 Swords Diamond is an interesting runner here for champion trainer Graham Holland, an 18.54 winner around Shelbourne Park last time. Looks like an improving sort, and one to keep an eye on. Graham Holland, of course, doubly represented trap number 1 Nicky Swinton. This one delivered a spectacular performance in Waterford last Saturday night when winning in 28-29, and should go well from the inside of the track. Elsewhere in the competition, looking ahead to the final heat number 8, Shotgun Des, of course, a winner of the IGOBF National Puppy Competition at the back end of last year at Shelbourne Park, is another big player for Graham Holland. There's a couple to keep an eye on if you're heading along to Clonmel tonight. I'm sure there'll be a huge crowd in attendance, because the Produce Stakes, of course, always has a huge following from greyhound supporters all over the country. Just to note, the Thurles Greyhound Stadium race on Saturday morning, first race due off at 10:41 in the morning, of course, and it's featuring the Thurles Track Champion Bitch Stake with €3,000 to the winner. That promises to be a real good competition over the course of the next couple of weeks. And keep an eye on Sing Along Cherry in race number 4. This one for Gilbert Alderson and trainer Pat Buckley has a big chance of winning the competition. An unlucky third in the final of the Puppy Oaks last Saturday night in Shelbourne. This one rates the strongest selection of the opening round there in Thurles. So as I said, some great racing there in Thurles tomorrow. Very much looking forward to keeping a very close eye on that. Now back to Clonmel Greyhound Stadium on Sunday night for their usual Sunday night racing programme, which gets underway at 6:11. Just note, of course, the earlier start there each and every Sunday night, of course, and all was really good racing there in Clonmel. I'm going with Miss Jelly Beans to return to winning ways in race number 6 for the McLeans in Clonmel. An A3 contest, of course, has won on this grade a couple of starts ago, drawn well in trap number 3, and we can expect a good start. The feature race on Sunday night is the Sorley O'Dornan Memorial A3 A4 guys and dolls final, I should say, with €2,500 to the winner. Real good contest here. Trap number 1, of course, Knockna Doog Star for the Don't Know Syndicate in Ballyraggart was the 28.63 winner last time, and going that performance, the bright prospect in October puppy can make all the running. So fantastic racing in Clonmel both tonight on Sunday night. And of course we have to mention the English Greyhound Derby, which gets underway tonight in Toaster. Big Tipperary interest in the competition. First heat, of course, gets underway at 6:20. Just a couple to keep an eye on tonight. I think Sword Style can make all the running in the 7:58 from the inside of the track for champion trainer Graham Holland. Impressive form recently. Bocco's Diamond, of course, returns to racing action in 8:38. All eyes will be on him for champion trainer Graham Holland. Glengar Silent is one for Pat Buckley in the 9:18. That should be getting the job done. While finally, in terms of the opening round, and just one more to keep an eye on tonight, is Ballymac in the closing heat for Kerry trainer Liam Dowling. More on the English Greyhound Derby next week.
And many thanks, as always, to Barry Drake there for giving us a comprehensive rundown on what's happening in the world of greyhound racing, both here in Tipperary and further afield as well. Well, that's just about all we got time for this week's edition of the show. Many thanks to you, the listeners, for tuning in, and to all our guests for making this week's show possible, along with our sponsors, Premier Credit Union in Thurles. As far as sport on Tipp FM over the course of the coming weekend, no live commentaries, but stay tuned to our news updates on the hour every hour throughout Saturday, Sunday and Monday to keep up to date with all those sporting events that we have laid out there over the course of the last hour. And a reminder, Ronan Quirk will be back on Tuesday evening at 7 o'clock for Extra Time. That's Tuesday, not Monday, as we have a bank holiday Monday. So Ronan Quirk will be back with Extra Time on Tuesday evening at 7 o'clock. And I'll be back next Friday evening for another edition of Across the Line. But for this week's Across the Line, it's bye for now.